I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Transportation, Mobility, and Infrastructure Commission, July 10th. First item is Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Anyone wishing to address the commission should fill out a request to speak form and present it to the clerk. The first item on the agenda is presentations by the public on matters not in the agenda within the jurisdiction of the commission. Are there any matters that people would like to address?
There are no requests to speak.
Okay, thank you. Second item is commissioner communications. Does anybody want to identify any commissioner communications since the last meeting? I guess there are none. There are no presentations tonight. We have a consent agenda, which is approval of the March 6, 2017 minutes. Can I get a motion for that?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed, so be it. Our first regular agenda item is presentation of the draft age-friendly action plan.
Good evening. I am here to present the draft age-friendly action plan. I'd like to start by giving some background on the process, and then I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have and listen to your comments. The origin of the plan really starts with the fact that folks in industrialized societies are living longer and happier lives now, which is a great thing, but the communities that they live in need to make adjustments for that because there's more folks, and as we age, we have different needs, or maybe the same needs, but we need to achieve them in a different way. So jurisdictions that pay attention to that are able to provide better service to their community. The council recognized this, and in 2015, they embarked on an effort to consciously address the manner in which the city deals with its older residents and how it treats them. And the approach they chose was to join the AARP network of age-friendly communities. And that's a group that's an affiliate of the World Health Organization's Age-Friendly Cities and Communities program. So there are over 100 affiliates of the AARP network of age-friendly communities nationwide, and they include cities like New York, Boston, San Francisco, Kansas City, and a number of other smaller jurisdictions as well. West Sacramento was one of the first in California. I want to say there's 5 or 7 now. But the basic idea is, as a member of the network of age-friendly communities, these are all jurisdictions that have made a conscious commitment to look at and try and make their communities more livable for their older residents. And the idea is that in so doing, you make your community better for everybody. So if you make an intersection safer for someone who's 80, you've made that same intersection safe for people that are 8 and everywhere in between. So it's not just for older folks, but the idea is that by starting there, you make the community more livable for everybody. So the basic process is it's a 5-year cycle, and we're in the second year of that, so you have 2 years to adopt your plan, and we're very close to the end of those 2 years. So the draft plan that's before you today is going to be presented to the council later this month after a really extensive public outreach process that I'll describe. So you have 2 years to do the plan, and then 3 years to execute that plan, and then you go back and kind of revisit what you've done and reevaluate, kind of refresh your plan, and then start over in order to maintain your membership in the network. So to get to where we are today, the City Council is, in a pretty innovative approach, established an advisory committee that was composed of co-chairs, Mayor Pro Tem Johannesson and Councilmember Sandine, and then representatives from each of the commissions. So Commissioner Hirsch is your alternate member, and Commissioner Wetzel, who's not here this evening, is the member from this commission. So we have representatives from each of the advisory commissions on this panel. So we've had, I want to say, 11 or 12 meetings of that group, and we're going to have another one this month. In addition to that, we've had 2 town hall style meetings, where we invited older folks to come and give their opinions on what was important to them in the community. We did one at Margaret McDowell Manor and one in Bright, both pretty well attended. So we got feedback from that. We've had we will have had 6 advisory commission meetings by the time this is done. The committee wanted the document to go to each of the commissions themselves, and this is one of those meetings. We did a survey by mail. We did a survey online. We did a phone survey that was advertised in 3 languages with a utility bill insert. And then we did a pretty innovative, we hadn't heard of this being done, but a hand-delivered survey that was put on the lunches of Meals on Wheels participants. And then we had the people that delivered the lunch pick the survey back up, and we transcribed those. And maybe most importantly, the biggest and most sort of statistically valid approach was the survey that AARP did. They did a community-wide survey with a sample of 400 people, so that the results of that can actually be extrapolated to the whole city. So all of that input has been processed into the plan that you see, and we tried with the individual recommendations to make reference back to the source of where that concern came from. In many instances, in most instances, in fact, it was from multiple sources. But we really wanted folks to see that the input that they gave during this pretty extensive process did manifest itself in the plan. And I mentioned in here, we did calculate that, depending on the extent to which people might have participated in more than one survey, we reached between 400 and a little over 700 people with our outreach process. So we think that's pretty good. That's one of the more extensive outreach processes that we've seen around a project like this. So the result is the plan that you see. We've got 20 recommendations in there that span a whole bunch of different areas, and it was a little difficult to pick. I mean, you could end up with a very, very large plan that tried to do everything. So we had to try and prioritize a little bit and look at what's within the city's ability to do, what was indicated as most important by the seniors. But the work of this commission definitely has a prominent role, because it really turns out that transportation and mobility is central to senior citizens' quality of life. And one of the insights that we had from this, and it may have been obvious to all of you this whole time, but it was kind of news to us, was this concept of a value chain, where you can have a great program for the seniors. Like, we have great programs, recreational programs at the senior center, but if people don't know about them, so if our communication efforts are not reaching out to seniors in ways that they are receiving the information, if they don't know those things are there, they can't take advantage of them. And if they do know they're there but they can't get to them, that doesn't do any good either. So really, one of the central ideas of this plan is to take kind of a holistic approach and make sure that we have the programming and the different amenities that seniors need, but not only that, but that they know about them and that they have the ability to get to them. So there's a couple, there's several actually transportation-related projects in here that I would call your attention to. One is the adoption of the Bike, Pedestrian, and Trail Master Plan with a Safe Routes for Seniors appendix, and that's kind of self-explanatory, but the idea of that appendix would be to look at concentrations of where seniors live, where older residents live, and the kind of places that they want to get to, and look at what impediments might exist between those two places and try and address those. And a perfect example is we just applied for a challenge grant from AARP, a small grant, but it would be to improve the intersection at Merkley and Jefferson, which lies between Margaret McDowell Manor and all the Civic Center amenities, so the library and City Hall and the Transportation Center and the adult daycare. So that facility then, that intersection would have the timers on the crossing so people can see. One of the pieces of feedback that we got from the residents of Margaret McDowell Manor, a couple of them told me directly that they had been stuck in the middle of the street when they tried to cross, because the time it takes them to cross does not comport with the amount of time they had. So the signal would change and they'd be standing in the middle of the street waiting for the next cycle. So we want to address that and kind of start that as a concept that we would look in other places within the city to make those kinds of improvements. In addition, the mobility action plan, which is something that you folks are deeply involved in, would be relevant here in terms of different transit-related means of getting folks from point A to point B, and looking at consciously how to do that and make it amenable for seniors. And then completing the ADA transition plan for the city. So again, looking at intersections and city facilities throughout the city and areas where there might be impediments to people's pedestrian mobility, especially people with mobility challenges. So that's essentially the plan. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, thank you, John. Any comments or questions from the commissioners?
Do you want comments on the survey, or the 1 through 20, or punctuation? What kind of feedback are you looking for?
Well, I'll take anything you've got. The more substantive, the better. I mean, we're looking, I would like to get all the typos weeded out of there, certainly.
Okay,
but-
I'm not the guy to be your spell checker, trust me.
If you've got, substantive issues, especially pertaining to, whatever, your guys' expertise is related to transportation and mobility issues would be very welcome.
I would say most of your 1 through 20 are plans we've already heard about through your bike path or some of the other things. So I agree, adjusting it for any age will be beneficial to any resident that it comes across. Your AARP survey has me baffled, and not because it's incorrect, but more of it doesn't present all the information. So then I don't trust the information. My examples are kind of, nothing adds up, or very little adds up to 100%. In some cases, it adds up to 82%, sometimes 104. So yeah, plus or minus the 4.5% or 4.9 that it says, but 82% is a little low.
Can you point to
Sure,
that
page 27, demographics. It calls for a 45-plus survey. One of the pages, it references only 50, and the demographics of the 400 sample start at 50. That's only 82%. So does that mean that 17% of your survey population is between 45 and 50? Perhaps. But I'm reading the survey and now I'm doubting, not so much that it is not valuable information, but why not share all of it?
I get you. No, it looks as if they left a category off, so
Yeah,
I think the
a
answer is
couple.
probably exactly what you said, but I will definitely follow up on that. That's good.
Especially if this is the back page that just kind of verifies the information, if I can't even verify it in the verifiable portion. Some of the other stuff, like the 9 and 10 people drive, but then 4.5 people bike, obviously it's a multiple choice question, but if we're looking for best answer, probably should have provided the one answer. Because then I would like to know, do 9 and 10 people really drive, or is it more like 7 people drive and 2.5 people bike? It's good information. And of the seniors, 45 seems to be a pretty valid working age still. I hope I'm still working at 45. I'm going to need to work at 45. I'm going to need to work at 55. So I'm driving to work. If this is a senior plan, how many seniors are driving versus need the mobility? Because one of the parts that were mentioned was the bus line from the Ziggurat building to the Amtrak station is nobody's using it. I don't know how much money that line cost me, but if, let's say, it's $250,000, I'd love to put $250,000 into a door-to-door service for senior citizens that would use it. $250,000 probably would go a long way for people that are age 65 to 85, and they need that help. So that's why it's awfully broad, and maybe narrowing it down. If this is a senior survey, let's identify what is classified as a senior. I wouldn't classify 55 as a senior anymore. It would just, the world gets a little bit longer and we get a little bit older, which is good for us, but may classify seniors differently. And what could they really need if the city's interested in it? A door-to-door, maybe not Uber per se, but one of the transit systems that we currently have says is highly used, but it's only available Mondays and Thursdays, or Tuesday, Thursdays, I forget. Why can't that be Monday through Friday and take some of those unused parts and move them over into the used, successful parts that you are communicating with? I think that would be pretty beneficial. And like I said, I didn't know all the stuff that's been going on for the last year and a half. The survey and this little report's the first I've heard of it, so that's my first at a glance, that some of these things seem obvious. Like you said, they seem obvious, so let's just do it. But then when I'm wondering, who are we really going to be impacting by some of these, I have no idea. 45 plus, I don't know who that is,
No,
because that's a lot of people.
Your point is well taken. The survey that AARP did, I mean, they kind of have their own reasons. We've had a discussion practically at every commission about what's the appropriate age to begin studying, like seniors. And AARP, for their own reasons, tends to take an expansive view of that. I think, intuitively, that makes it, there are greater opportunities for membership and participation the broader their scope goes. So we've tried in this study not not to pick a specific age, but I think your point is well taken that 45 is pretty young in most people's minds for senior issues. But that's part of why we did try to validate the information in the survey by actually going out and talking to folks that were well over
Yeah.
45. And a lot of that information did correlate nicely when we spoke directly to older folks.
The Meals on Wheels, I think, was an awesome idea to get people to participate. Again, that means you're hitting probably people that need some help. Also, the DOT survey that you guys held, the 39 people showing up, it doesn't say how old those 39 people were, but I think you're talking to our residents in person, so there's some explanation of the 400 demographics on the AARP I question. There's a lot of needs according to them, which is probably true of any place in this country, but I don't know how many people that are classified as seniors need all 20 of those
No,
things.
your point is well taken. They actually do, they don't have it listed out, broken out here, but we did actually ask AARP for a breakdown of the demographics within these age bands. So
Okay.
we do have separate results for, I want to say 75 plus and 60 to 74. Not all of them, but we do have the older end of those, so we can go back and validate too.
All right, well, thank you. Pretty
Yeah,
much.
thank you.
Any other comments?
Well, I agree with Commissioner Ralston that I think when the final AARP report comes out, that maybe it can be more clear what the demographics were that were being surveyed, since that's, as he mentioned, the backbone of this project. But I served as the alternate representative on this commission, so I've attended one meeting in the past few months, and I was previously the commissioner representative for the Environment and Utilities Commission on the Age-Friendly Advisory Committee. So I know that the city staff has done a lot of good work, a lot of work in terms of surveying and partnering with AARP. So I just want to thank you, if I don't get the chance to sit another age-friendly committee, to say thank you for that. I did have one question here in terms of the AARP micro grant for the age-friendly intersection makeover. I was wondering, is that a one-time micro grant? Is that something that the city, if this particular intersection turns out to be well-used and well-liked, something that the city could apply for again for other projects around?
I am not aware that they're going to do it again, but I think they will. So I think, hopefully by sort of coining a phrase and a concept, we'll be able to come back to them if we're awarded this one and have a better chance at future ones. But I'm only aware of it being a one-time opportunity.
Great. Well, I hope it can be a continuing one, since it seems, in terms of improving sidewalks, improving safe streets and well-lit streets, that any sources of grant revenue, grant funding would be much appreciated. Thank you.
Other commissioners? Other commissioners? Well, I'm going to make some comments. I'm a senior citizen by any definition, and an AARP member. I'm kind of going through your chart, and I'm going to make some comments. Some of them are related to transportation, some of them are personal observations, because I've lived here for 14 years, and I'm an aging in place senior, so I'm also interested in housing and some of the other topics. But the first item on bike, pedestrian, and master plan, kind of related to that is what I call signage and wayfinding. And I didn't know where to fit that, but it's kind of the notion of whether it's seniors or others in the community, just having a sense of destination in terms of when you're on your bike or you're walking throughout the city, how to get from point A to point B. And having signs that are legible for seniors as well as others. And that may be folded into maybe the first item related to bikes and peds. Not necessarily traffic in terms of large signs for traffic stops and things.
Okay.
Also, just observing what they've been doing in Sacramento in terms of paving, the painting of the bike lanes, which adds a lot of safety to those, to the roads, as well as obviously having dedicated bike lanes. I'm sure that those are all things that we're going to be addressing in the bike master plan, but I think they need special emphasis with seniors. And then obviously the connection between Rayleigh's Field and, I just call it through the tank farm area. That's a real hazardous area. Again, I'm sure that you're going to be addressing that hopefully in the bike master plan. But as it stands right now, it's not a really safe area for transportation for any age group. I did want to mention that the Riverfront Shuttle, I guess you're going to have a demonstration tomorrow, and I appreciate the invitation to attend that. Maybe that's an example again of the kind of transportation, I guess this is a driverless shuttle, which would be interesting. But maybe that's the kind of system that would be more amenable to seniors in terms of location. I'm not sure, but I'm looking forward to finding more about that. Let's see, under item 5, which is maintaining and expand age-friendly webpage, I just made a note about Nextdoor, which is the kind of the local networking of the community that really provides information to the community regardless of age in terms of current events, things that the city is doing. You know, that's a real good example of a way to network with all age groups to get the word out in terms of the efforts that the city's making in this area in terms of age-friendly programs. Item number 6, which had to do with broadband expansion. Again, I'm getting a little away from transportation, but I'm very aware of the fact that the phone service here, the cell phone service is not great. Not necessarily, I don't know what the city can do about that, but that's kind of like dead areas in terms of, I don't know whether it affects 911 calls or not, but I've had personal problems in the Broderick, Washington district neighborhood, just in terms of my cell service. That related to broadband, but not necessarily the same, but an important issue. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about housing, which I guess it's item 13. I'm not sure, you kind of grouped them in a couple different categories. One was affordable housing, one was accessible housing. But this whole idea of aging in place, we're becoming an infill city. We're doing a lot of two-story development now in this city. So I would like to see some models, making sure that the first floor of those developments have some options for seniors in terms of a downstairs bedroom, bathroom, and living area possibly, just to accommodate people as they age in place. I'm in a two-story home, and I'd like to stay there. I have those features in my home. I'm not sure they're available in all homes. Also, just the idea of alternative accessibility standards in subdivisions where you do a new development and a developer comes in and they have their models, but I've seen subdivision plans where there are accessibility features that are an alternative for a purchaser in a new home so that they can have those features thinking ahead in terms of aging in place. One of the things that I take advantage of is the community center. I'm a swimmer, and one of the things kind of related to the community facilities that I noticed this year was that the lap pool was not open all year. And it was closed. I think there was some kind of a budget cut. I'm not sure what the problem was, but a lot of seniors use the pool here. And so I think if we're trying to encourage, healthy living, recreation, that's kind of a funding issue to make sure that pool is available and open year-round, and it really gets a lot of use, I can tell you. So that, again, that's not related to transportation, but it's something that I use, and I'm a senior. So those are some of the main comments I had. But I thought you did a nice report, and I'm an AARP member, so I believe in the organization, so thank you for that.
Thanks.
Any other comments or questions of staff regarding the age-friendly plan? I guess not. And then you're going to be going forward with this to the city council and...
Yeah, on the 26th.
Okay, very good. Well, keep us updated. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the Summer Steps Internship Program, Public Works Traffic and Transportation Division.
Hello, Mr. Chair and members of the commission. My name is Treasure Acevedo, and I'm a Traffic and Transportation Division intern with the Public Works Department. I'm also a West Sacramento resident. This is my second year as the Summer Steps internship with the Summer Steps internship program. And yeah, I started this program when I was in high school, and I'm going to be going to CSUS this upcoming fall. And I have a presentation for you guys about the Public Works Traffic and Transportation Division internship, as well as the Summer Steps internship. All right, so the Summer Steps is a kids' home run initiative. They're trying to get West Sacramento community residents involved in internships, so then it gives them job experience in the local government. It also gets you also prepared for school, because some programs that we work on here are going to be some classes that we're going to actually be taking in college. There was 392 applications for 19 positions throughout the entire city. When this first started 3 years ago, this started 3 years ago, and then 7 of the Public Works internships people have graduated from the Public Works Division internship. There's an LRNG platform, which is a digital type of badging system where you can upload all of the items and documents that you work on, and you can take the information that you've learned with your previous company and just show it to other companies and just say hey, I've worked on this, this, and this, and you can actually see it. Gives you a sense of achievement, and then also it's a good thing for a resume builder because you can put it on the bottom of a resume, and then companies can just kind of click on the hyperlink, and then they can see everything that you have worked on. So with the Traffic and Transportation Division internship, there's a multitude of different things that we work on because Public Works is a very busy division. So there's data collection, ADT, speed surveys, work orders, there's public outreach meetings, there's software and technical skills for GIS and AutoCAD. There's some professional organizations outside of the city of West Sacramento that we like to get involved with as well. There's some field work and then procurement process and a lot of different other things, but I'm only going to touch on a few of them. So here's some of my project experience. If you look on the top left-hand corner, that is the Hobson and Solano work order. This was created on AutoCAD, which is an engineering type of software. With this specific work order, we needed to do a stop sign warrant study analysis. We needed to go out there, take some pictures, and then we also had to do an ISD triangle, which is an intersection site distance triangle for the north and the south side, because there's a lack of site distance. And there was quite a few complaints from residents in the neighborhood saying that that was a really big issue. So after we finished the stop sign warrant analysis, we made the work order on AutoCAD. We included 2 new stop signs and 2 stop legends with stop bars. For the first week after we get it out there, we're going to be having a flashing beacons and flags, and then a CMS sign, which is a changeable message sign, just basically indicating that there is new stop signs there and to please stop. So it kind of gives you a little bit of fair warning. With the Marshall roundabout, that is a work order that we got complaints from residents because there was a power outage there because some people were speeding and they hit the telephone pole, and people lost power for a couple of hours. So this is a work order that's been in progress for a little bit of a while now. We just came up with the final product design. But basically with the design that we have came up with, it's a specific type of striping that's supposed to slow down people. It also includes some raised pavement markers that, again, it kind of rumbles if you go over it. So it's designed to make it where you do not go over it, you slow down, and you go around the curvature like you are supposed to. Okay, so the far left is the transportation map. That was made with the GIS software, which is like a mapping type of software. There are many different types of labors within this specific type of map. You cannot see all of them, but with this specific map, it includes 82, which is average daily traffic, speed segments that are colored, traffic signals, and then the fiber optic cable that we're supposed to be using for later next year, so we can work on incorporating some more fiber optic cable. In the middle, there's our community outreach meeting that we held at the South River Road Corporation Yard, where it was just basically information about the public for the Broadway Bridge project, and it was a huge success. A lot of people showed up and wanted to hear about the Broadway Bridge. And the last but not least is the far right, is the speed surveys. So with that, you have to go out on the field with the speed radar gun. You sit out there for a little bit of while until you get about 100 cars. We have a specific piece of paper that we mark everything down on, and then we take all of the information that we got from out on the fields and we plug it into an Excel template spreadsheet that puts it into a chart. And we take basically like a snip from the chart and we put it onto this Word template, and we get our finalized speed survey and we finish it and make sure it's completely good and the math's correct, and we have our traffic engineer sign off on it and we give it to the police department so then they can enforce the current speed limit. Yes. And that concludes my presentation. There is a lot of different things that we work on, but I just touched on a few. But thank you for your time, and then do you guys have any questions?
Sounds like a great program. Sounds like you're a good ambassador for it. Any other comments or questions? Yes.
I have a question. I think this is a great program, and what your presentation shows that you're involved, hopefully, in the community you grew up in, you have some interest in making it better or changing it, and then you go to college, hopefully come back and lead the next generation. I think it's an awesome program that you're doing. Two questions. Did you choose the transportation or the public works section, or as part of the, that when you applied, did they just put you into it?
No, I originally planned, when I first applied, I applied to 3 different positions because I didn't know what specific thing I wanted to go into with the city. But once I actually got involved with the city and I discovered what the traffic and transportation division actually did, it kind of drove my passion and basically set me on the straight path of knowing something that I actually want to do now, and I'm focusing on that in college. So it kind of drove my passion and narrowed it down.
Okay, what are you going to college then to do?
I'm going to become a civil engineer, but I'm going to become a traffic engineer a little bit later on.
Perfect. I would say in my work, I'm facilities, I deal with engineers all day long, and the stuff that you're showing me that you worked on are things we look at every day. So I love the on-the-job training that you're getting and the kind of like you said, the narrowing it down. I think this is a great program the city's done, and you've shined well in it apparently, and it's doing well for you, and I applaud you as well. On the Marshall thing, that thing is irritating, and you just get rid of the roundabout, that would be perfect. Thank you.
Good comment, yes.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I wonder, is there an age limit to apply? What is the age limit to apply for the STEPS program?
Yeah, so you have to be a junior in high school.
Okay, period.
Yes.
Okay.
And
And
then-
what's the graduation time? 3 years, was it? No, 1 year?
For
How long does it take to run the course of the program?
It's
to
just over
graduation?
the summer. I believe it's a 9-week program.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, Jason McCoy, Traffic and Transportation Planner. We've had Treasurer on for a while. She was actually started in the summer STEPS program, and then we actually asked if we could continue working with her, and so we kind of arranged the program, a subsequent program where we could work with her through her high school career, kind of adjusting for the schedule for her schooling. And then she reapplied for the summer STEPS internship. And reapplicants, when you're in the program, you actually have an opportunity to come back and reapply, and you get priority. At that point, you become an advanced intern, and then we step up the program so that you have more hands-on work, including presenting to commissions for projects that are currently underway. It also gives her an opportunity to start mentoring other interns that are approved through the program. So you did call it correctly that Treasurer has actually been a really big asset for us. Not only is she doing some great quality work, but she's also starting to show leadership for the next round of students that come into the program.
Yeah, that's great. What a great program. And you seem very confident, and I'm sure that this program has helped in your public speaking and and a lot of the skills you've developed. It's good, yeah. Good
Yes,
program.
I'm really excited about it.
I would just want to echo the fellow commissioners as well, and thank you for that excellent presentation. I did some local government internships myself when I was still in high school, but this seems like something so much more advanced, so much more in-depth. I was mostly just doing phone calls and coffee runs. You are very knowledgeable when it comes to the details of all these traffic projects. You're out there speaking to the commission, to the public. I think that's excellent. I had a question. How did you first hear about this internship program?
Yeah, so originally my brother started out in the first year, but Randy Goodwin, he's up on the second floor. He was one of my project mentors for ACE, which is Architecture, Construction, Engineering. It's a club that I was in charge of during my high school years, and he suggested that I apply for this program with the city.
Well, great. I'm very glad you're part of it. And just seeing the numbers, 392 apply, 19 make it. You must have been very impressive along with the other 19. And I hope if all the interns are impressive, maybe future years there can be funding for even more than just 19 interns.
Yeah, hopefully.
I had a question on qualification. Do you have to be a city resident?
No, you don't have to be a city resident.
That's
You-
great, okay.
You can be from anywhere.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Comment question. Comment is congratulations on your great work and wish you all the best in your future. The question I had was, is there like a mechanism that's been built into this program to stay in touch with students who go through the program and then as they go through college? And I'm thinking of it as kind of a way to, stay in touch, incentivize them to come back to West Sacramento specifically and work here. I don't know if there's anything that's been set up, just curious.
Maybe I can answer that. So there is no, to my knowledge, no mechanism per se, but we found that students have actually gone through the internship program in the Traffic and Transportation Division have stayed in touch with us. We have had previous interns that are now in another department, so their experience almost like a reunion when you see a couple of these students. But mostly they do stay in touch with you. You do receive emails from time to time, and we have heard some really good things about some of our interns getting some work experience in other locations, either in the public or the private sector. But actually, I'll look into it to find out if there actually is a formal mechanism.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much for the presentation. Good luck in your career.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item is presentation and discussion of the West Capitol Avenue and Jefferson Boulevard Improvement Project.
Good evening, Chair and members of the Commission. Chris Doherty, Senior Transportation Analyst with the Public Works Department. I was waiting for the PowerPoint to pop up. The item before you this evening is the West Capitol Avenue and Jefferson Boulevard Improvement Project. Here we go. A little background about this project. We're just kicking off this project to begin the design phase of this project, so we're bringing it to you, talk about some of the scope of what we're doing and how it's funded. There we go. So in 2015, Public Works staff applied for and received funding through two different primary programs to fund this project. One was SACOG Regional Local Funding, and then Caltrans Highway Safety Improvement Program funding. The SACOG funding was designed to do road rehabilitation, to repair the roadway through this corridor, and the Highway Safety Improvement Program, or HSIP as it is called, was applied for and funded to provide enhanced safety elements throughout this corridor. West Capitol Avenue, as you well know, is the historic Highway 40. It's been an auto-centric use since its design. And because of that and the poor pavement condition, we had a good opportunity to use this funding to convert this corridor into a more multimodal connection, since it is a regional bike commute route and we see a lot of pedestrian traffic along this corridor. As I said, the funding sources came from two primary sources, the SACOG Regional Local Grant and the Highway Safety Improvement Grant. They encompass about $3 million for this project. In addition to that, we were awarded some funds through the Cal Recycle Grant to do rubberized pavement to this corridor, which allows these improvements that we're putting in the ground to last longer and do a new innovative pavement process. In addition to these things, we're using this as an opportunity to do several other projects while we do the construction. We are adding intersection improvements to the intersection of Merkley and Jefferson that will further extend what Mr. Robinson was talking about earlier with those crossing enhancements. We're doing a full signal upgrade to that corridor. We are adding new fiber optic conduit throughout the whole corridor to better interconnect our traffic signals and to connect to other city facilities so we have better fiber connection to those facilities. And we are replacing a water main about at the corner of Jefferson and West Capitol Avenue so that we don't have to go back and do that after we've done all the road rehabilitation work. And with that, I'm going to turn this presentation over to Naweed Nassar, our new senior engineer in Public Works, who will tell you more about the aspects of what we're looking at designing.
Thanks, Chris. Sorry. Good evening, Vice Chair and the remaining members of the Commission. As, sorry, press the wrong button.
Presentation.
Presentation? There you go. Thank you. As Chris mentioned, my name is Naweed Nassar. I'm a senior civil with the Public Works Department, and I'm going to talk to you guys about some of the project components, project location, and potential ways to do some really nice, cool, innovative design along the corridor to make it a little bit more pleasing, aesthetically pleasing and safer for both vehicles, bicycles, and pedestrians. So I know it might be a little bit hard to see. Some of the project components are slurry seal, safety improvements, pedestrian crossing improvements along West Capitol Avenue between I-80 and Harbor Boulevard. The pavement rehabilitation limits include pavement rehab between Harbor Boulevard to Jefferson Boulevard and along Jefferson Boulevard between West Capitol Avenue and Park Boulevard, as well as conduit and fiber optics improvements along Jefferson Boulevard between West Capitol Avenue and Park Boulevard. We're also hoping to install new conduit system and connection between the existing city hall to the future courtyard, so we don't have to pay for maintenance, monthly maintenance for IT that uses it. Another project component includes replacement or installing a new water main along West Capitol Avenue between Jefferson Boulevard and West Acre Road, and connecting existing businesses along that stretch of the roadway to the new water main. This replacement was identified in the master plan, wastewater master plan. And then last but not least, I'm going too far. As Chris mentioned, we have an opportunity to improve the Merkley Avenue, Jefferson Boulevard improvements by adding left turn lanes as well as implementing ADA modifications. Moving along, so one of the main goals that we want to do with this project is enhance vehicular traffic behavior, improving bicycle lane facilities along the corridor, upgrading existing ADA sidewalks and curb ramps, and possibly implementing a road diet. We did a little bit of background, and I presented a few cross-sections in front of you guys. And we can implement, obviously, with the road rehab, the existing cross-section, kind of pretty much put in what we take out. And there's also pros and cons associated with each different option. Some of the pros of putting back what we put in, we don't change any of the roadway cross-section. But we will be improving pedestrian crossings and ADA ramps. So those are a couple of pros on that one. Some of the cons is with putting back what we take out, we don't have as much traffic behavior enhancement, and we don't have as much bicycle facility upgrades. What I've shared with you guys on this one, I've broken down West Capitol Avenue into 3 different segments. The 6-lane segment that currently exists between between Sycamore and Jefferson Boulevard, the 4-lane segment between Sycamore and Harbor Boulevard, and then the kind of mixed match cross-section between I-80 and Harbor Boulevard. So with this project, we have some really cool opportunity to implement something like a roadway diet. Between Jefferson Boulevard and Harbor Boulevard, we don't have bike lanes currently implemented. So what we can potentially do is take out an existing travel lane. We have a 6-lane cross-section. We looked at the average daily traffic volumes, and we have plenty of capacity where we can implement a road diet along the stretch of the roadway without having an adverse impact to capacity, roadway capacity and intersection capacity. The benefits of doing this is it gives us an opportunity to pretty much have a 4-lane cross-section all the way from railroad crossing in front of the City Hall to all the way to Harbor Boulevard. Another thing we can do is eliminate parking. And sorry, before we go back, some of the cons associated with it, with taking out an existing lane and converting it into a bike lane includes traffic behavior enhancement, safer bicycle facility because we're going to have a buffered bicycle lanes, consistent 4-lane cross-section, and as well as ADA and pedestrian crossing enhancement. Some of the cons of this concept is we are going to be taking out a lane, but like I said, even though we're taking out a lane, we looked into capacity and we have plenty of capacity. Another alternative we can probably look into during the design phase is taking out an existing travel lane and eliminating parking along that stretch of the roadway. By doing so, we're going to have a good traffic, we're going to have an enhanced traffic behavior, safer bicycle facility, consistent 4-lane cross-section like before, as well as ADA and pedestrian crossing enhancement. Some of the cons associated with eliminating existing parking and fronting some of the businesses is opposition due to eliminating parking. Moving along to the next segment of West Capitol Avenue. Between Sycamore Avenue and Harbor Boulevard, we do currently have existing bike lanes, but the bike lanes are a little bit narrow, and the roadway travel lanes are really wide. We have about 13 feet travel lanes. Just like before, we can put back what we take out, and some of the pros and cons are similar to before. If we just put back what we pull out, we don't necessarily change traffic behavior as much, but we will be making safer pedestrian crossing and ADA improvements. But if we do a little bit of kind of like a minimal road diet, which is taking out an existing travel lane that are over 13 feet wide, making them a little bit short, a little bit narrower, we can implement a buffered bike lane along that stretch of the corridor as well. By doing so, we enhance traffic behavior, safer bicycle facilities, and consistency of cross-section, of a 4-lane cross-section from railroad undercrossing all the way to Harbor Boulevard. Moving along, west of Harbor Boulevard, West Capitol Avenue is kind of weird where there's 2 lanes cross-section going one way eastbound and 1 lane going westbound. It kind of flip-flops where we have 2 lanes going one direction and opposite. And same thing with center median. There's center median at some location, and there's not center median at other location. Same thing along with pedestrian sidewalks. Similar option as before, we can just put back what we take out after we solar seal it and implement safety lighting and pedestrian crossing improvements. By doing so, obviously, some of the pros associated with putting everything back, we don't change a roadway cross-section, but we are going to improve pedestrian crossing and ADA modifications. Some of the cons is we don't have as much traffic behavior enhancement, and we don't have as much bicycle lane improvement enhancements. What we can do along this stretch of the roadway is similar to the other 2 stretches, is to use existing pavement width and kind of do some kind of innovative design, narrow the lane widths if need be, center median, and implement a buffered bike lane. Some of the pros included with this option is, we do enhance traffic behavior. We have safer bicycle facility, which is buffered, and we're going to have a consistent buffered bicycle lane pretty much all the way from Jefferson Boulevard all the way to I-80. And one benefit of that is West Capitol Avenue is a regional bicycle route, and that kind of goes consistent with making a safer bicycle facility along the entire corridor. With that in mind, like as I mentioned, with these innovative design, we hope to enhance traffic behavior, bicycle lanes, upgrade ADA. Our next step after this meeting is to go to the council and present the project to council. And based on their feedback and your feedback, we hope to prepare a request for proposal and advertise a project and start with the selection design firm to help us with the design of the project. With that have said, I'm going to open the Q&A portion on discussion.
Okay, thank you for that. Any comments or questions from the commission?
Go ahead, Alex.
Let's start on this. Let's start on this side and go this way.
Hello?
Yeah, just press your button right there. Right. Yeah, there you go.
I want to say thank you for your presentation. I'm a big bike rider, especially through the city and also downtown. And one thing that I've always kind of had concerns about is there's not a lot of bike lanes, especially trying to get down to Sacramento. So I'm very happy about something like this where they're putting in more bike lanes and stuff like that so you can actually ride and not worry about, because I also ride with my kids too, and I kind of get a little nervous when I'm going down there because there is no bike lane, especially coming, once you get over I guess the new Mike McGowan Bridge, once you get over there, coming down, it kind of like the lane kind of disappears for a little bit. And then there's that entrance going to the freeway, so I get nervous. But just knowing that there's going to be, there's a potential of the bike lanes going down West Cat, I'm kind of very excited about something like that because then it just makes me want to get out there and ride more. So I just wanted to thank you for that, and thanks for the presentation.
And I'll add something too. The bike lanes that we're designing here with that buffered bike lane that offers a little more separation and protection from the vehicular traffic, that is the model we want to extend throughout as we continue to do bike lane upgrades throughout the city. So those will make, generally are designed to be more comfortable when you're riding with, they're called an 8 to 80 infrastructure. So you ride with your children or like with an 80-year-old. It's made for all ranges in a lower stress environment. So that's the model we are moving to.
Let's see. I too am very excited about bike paths and stuff. So what's the timeline on this project?
Sure.
So we hope, after we get this, we hope to advertise the project this year, and grant application funds the design has to be done in construction by 2019, I believe. Correct. Yes.
Okay. And is there enough funding to do buffered bike lanes on Jefferson from West Capitol to Park?
That's one option that we're going to try to look at. We're going to try to see what we can do with existing pavement along Jefferson Boulevard without adversely impacting capacity. And obviously, there's some challenges associated with it because of some of the undercrossings. We don't have as much pavement. But once we go to the design, that's definitely something that we are going to go investigate.
We've done a lot of preliminary research to see how much of a facility we can fit in there. A buffered bike lane would be really constrained because it is very constrained and nothing but concrete abutments on your side. So we will, at a minimum, put in a bike lane through that corridor. That's one of our primary goals of this project, is because it's lacking any bicycle facility right now.
Okay. Thank you.
I was going to say, I think it's a great plan, especially on West Capitol. I know myself, I've been on it plenty of times, and I'm sure my fellow commissioner is a responsible bike rider, but sometimes you get a little more, of the casual kind of biker on West Capitol, and from a safety perspective, I think having that buffer is a good thing, and certainly the lane reduction, the road diet is also, I think, a plus as well.
I echo with my fellow commissioners. I think it's a great project, being able to expand the West Capitol improvement beyond just the Civic Center area and to take it all the way down to I-80. I do like the idea of a road diet, the presentation that the traffic capacity of the current three-lane road is more than enough. So I like being able to have a road diet, buffered bike lanes, especially for West Capitol, particularly because of those news stories you read every once in a while about fatalities along that route. I noticed in the report that I think it's a good idea to combine the fiber signal improvements, to combine the water main improvements while we're doing these road improvements anyways. But it mentions that it may result in a delay due to the environmental scope of the work. So is that 2019 timeline accommodating the environmental projects as well?
Yes, it is.
I was just wondering then, because it seems, fellow commissioners, I've been along this route as well. It's the McGowan Bridge up to Rayleigh Field along the Stone Lock neighborhood, where right now there is no bike lane at all, no sidewalk at all. When the city, I assume, intends to put those facilities in that route, is it going to be a similar project where we want to do everything at once, water main, fiber lines, or would that just be simply putting in a bike lane, putting in a sidewalk, something that could be done maybe quicker?
So that section of South River Road is a little more complicated because it's going through an entire reuse master plan and re-envisioning. That street will probably be realigned at one point to change the parcel size for development. So anything we do at this point, the concerns if we spend a considerable amount of money creating new bike lanes and sidewalks in that corridor will be then just converted and thrown away in what is a less than ideal time. So what you're seeing is a series of it's as much facilities we could fit into the road we had. That road was designed with a cul-de-sac and saw very different traffic than it has changed now that we put the bridge in there. But to do an expensive road widening with that infrastructure is something we can look at, but it's something we've gone back and forth on based on the time frame of that transition plan.
Right. I definitely understand how it might not pencil out to put these improvements in and just tear it up if we're going to do a more thorough improvement within a year or two. But what is the timeline for restructuring that neighborhood? Is that something in a few years, or is that something 10 years down the line?
That really depends on a lot of factors, and to be honest, I don't know off the top of my head. The one thing that project also does envision, and that can happen a lot sooner, is that the Riverwalk Trail will be extended all the way down to the McGowan Bridge. And that can be done because there is a developable corridor and a non-developable corridor along the levee. and that access road along the levee can be also a bike trail like we use it on the Riverwalk now. So if we can't convert that street to something that is ideal for that kind of traffic, we can create a parallel route that can meet that same need.
Great, thank you so much.
Sure.
I'm one of the 9 of 10 people that drive in the town, so I have driving questions. If you had a list of 1 through 10 priority lists of streets that need to be repaired and repaved, where does this fit onto it?
So when we applied for that SACOG funding for regional local, we applied for 5 different road segments, and we were approved for one of them. And this was our top priority.
Okay.
Because of those kind of co-benefits of being able to also add multimodal complete streets benefits as well. So it really met a lot of our boxes when we did that. But we are looking also at Southport Parkway, Industrial, Marshall Road. I'm missing one off the top of my head. It's been a.
Well, so far, like 2 through 4 already, so.
Okay.
That's my side of town. It says plenty of capacity, and that's why I kind of asked why, if we're going to go down this road per se and repave it, are there going to be as many people using it then as now? I'm not an enthusiastic bike rider. I am one of the 9 of 10. So I wish, maybe selfishly, that some of we're putting a good chunk of change. I love the idea that most of it's grant-funded. I like seeing the city work really hard to use our dollars wisely, and the grant funding, I guess who could complain? But if I guess that's why I read the report, so I have the opportunity to ask if it was in the top 5. You say it was, and I appreciate the effort going into that. The money is used wisely. Where's the Corp Yard, the future Corp Yard going?
The future Corp Yard site is located between I-80, west of I-80 on West Capitol Avenue, between I-80 and Enterprise.
Okay.
On the north side there between the tracks.
The last time we met, we talked about dumping a lot of extra conduit to sell at later dates. Is that part of this project?
Yes, if we do, we'll add as much conduit as we could fit. If we're going to dig, we're going to put in as much as we can.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure.
I had just a question again on the buffering concept, the bike buffering concept. Would you have, I don't know, I see those yellow markers that are rough, if you will. Are those considered buffering elements? I see those in Sacramento when I ride my bicycle. What I'm thinking of is, the issue about accidents, because I've read, and I'm sure there's been serious accidents on West Capitol. As you go farther west and you get into more conflicts, you have industrial uses, and you're trying to make a more bike-friendly street. And I know we've had some truck, pedestrian, bike conflicts. So I guess one question is, have you looked at the accident data and related that to your design to try to minimize those conflicts and either fatalities or injuries? Yeah.
So the HSIP, or the Highway Safety Improvement Program, that's exactly what it does. It pulls your collision history, and then you program what countermeasures would counteract those, and it funds 3 of those countermeasures through that corridor. And that's exactly what we did for that application. And one point of clarification, or actually a question, are you talking about the glued down dots on the road, or are you talking about a full pole delineator for separation?
So obviously something that would alert the driver if they're kind of, starting to wander on their cell phone and there's a bicyclist there. Not that the bike is always not at fault, but, something that would alert the driver, right, is what I'm thinking. Yeah, those yellow things or whatever else you use to effectively deal with that, yeah.
Yeah, we have used with some success the dots on the bike lane corridor in certain areas of the city to provide a little more tactile feedback if you're not in your lane anymore, which work. We looked at, if we could do things like more separation or more of a physical buffer. Being Highway 40, being auto-oriented, there's a lot of driveways. So we need to be cognizant of, there's going to be a lot of crossing movements over these sections. So we're taking all these things, I said, we're really early in this design phase. We're looking at the goals and your feedback, so we can take that and start to really design this corridor.
Yeah, well, I think the buffering concept is really important for safety. And the other question I had was on landscape and street trees. I wasn't clear in the cross sections. Are you accounting for that? Are you, we're in a hot climate. Are you providing street trees as part of this design, or is that off the right of way that?
We're not looking to convert or change anything that's not already there. This is not a streetscape project. This is really a road rehab project. We're getting a lot of benefits from it. So we're not looking at those big street tree, big wide median kind of streetscape
Not a
projects.
boulevard, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it has already been done throughout West Capitol Avenue. Majority of it from Jefferson to Harbor already has that median. The section west of Harbor does not, and we're not looking at adding at this time. The cost was just too high for the funds that we had applied for.
Okay. All right, thank you for that. Any other comments or questions for staff? Okay, thank you for coming.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, we've got some general administration items. Any updates on the calendar for commission meetings?
No, the next meeting is Monday, September 11th. That's a special meeting because the week before is Labor Day. And then the following one is November 6th, the last one of the year.
Okay. Any reports from city staff on other matters?
Yes, Commissioners, Jason McCoy, Senior Transportation Planner. There's a number of items that I'm going to be bringing to the commission at the next meeting. We've had significant progress in the area of the Broadway Bridge project, the Downtown Riverfront Streetcar project, as well as the I Street Bridge Replacement project. A couple of the comments that I heard were with regard to South River Road through the Pioneer Bluff area. The Broadway Bridge is directly related to the Pioneer Bluff project, and it sounds to me as though it would be beneficial for the commission to bring in the project manager from Economic Development to discuss the Broadway Bridge master plan, how that interfaces with the bridge itself, how potentially there could be realignment of South River Road, and what the timeline is for those future improvements and development in that area as a whole. So I'm going to go ahead and schedule that for the next meeting. The Downtown Riverfront Streetcar, I'm sure you probably heard that the vote in the city of Sacramento is an affirmative vote from the property owners. So we are going to be moving forward with completing our application to FTA. We are looking at getting a small starts grant agreement, and I will bring you more details. That is a project that is changing week by week. So there's more and more information coming forward. So when I do bring it to the next meeting, I will have a lot to present to you. Regarding the I Street Bridge Replacement project, again, that is a project that changes from week to week. We are anticipating that the environmental document is going to be released on that within the next couple of months, maybe in a matter of weeks, depending on how quickly we make the changes that were recommended by both cities. So I will be bringing that to you, and it is very likely that the environmental document will be released at about the same time. So it'll be very timely, and it will be a public review draft, so the commissioners will have an opportunity to review the EIR-EA and provide comments on that. If it's not at the same time, then I'll make sure that we schedule a special meeting so that the commissioners have an opportunity to provide comments on that extremely important infrastructure project. And that concludes my report.
Okay, any questions for staff? Very good. I wasn't here for the last meeting, what is it called, the I Street Overpass project?
That would be the I Street Bridge Deck Replacement
Project.
project.
I know Chris is here, he's been working on that. Chris, that's still in the early stages, right? We don't have any dedicated funding for that?
No, we're just kicking out the feasibility study right now. It's actually probably going to go to council in the next couple of meetings to contract with the consultant and just for the feasibility study. But we are tracking all funding programs to see what aligns with those goals.
Great, okay, thank you. Okay, next item, future agenda item request by the Transportation, Mobility, and Infrastructure Commission. Any items for discussion for future meetings?
I have a request, and I know it's a little early, so maybe it's not the appropriate time, but I've been seeing all the bike share stations around town, and I've used it a few times, and I was wondering if the city's been tracking the usage of how often those bikes are used, which bike stops are more likely to get customers than others. I don't know if tonight or another time would be the best time to give some information, but I'd be really curious to hear it.
I'm happy to brief you on it. So it's been, in May, we launched a preview to the bike share system. We launched approximately 50 bikes throughout the two different cities, City of Sacramento and City of West Sacramento. We had 8 hubs in West Sacramento and 6 in Sacramento, and the bikes are pretty evenly split up between the two. We've seen pretty high utilization for, it's a preview, so it's a very light, it's not the average density that one would roll out a full bike share system. It is anticipated that the full rollout, once a sponsor is identified, will be 900 bikes over 3 cities, over City of Sacramento, our city, and Davis. So it's a very light preview. But of those 50 bikes, they've been highly utilized. We're getting good data in. Actually, I have a portal myself into the system to analyze the data and how they're being used.
Great, I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we're actually, and we'll be getting 50 more bikes coming for this preview in a few months, and actually probably about 4 weeks. And so there'll be more out there for you to use.
What kind of ways are we marketing or promoting this so people are aware of it?
So we've used the standard city protocols for doing that through iLights and through our social media. SACOG, who's the actual project manager for it, has been really leveraging their social platforms and doing the marketing for this, with but reserving some for the full rollout with a full sponsor. They really want the big marketing push to be around that big sponsorship.
Yeah, if we could get information out to the bike valet that is at every major event or in West Sacramento or Sacramento, that would be great. You know, like when you go to Riley's Field and you park your bike, or I know people are using their own bikes, but I don't know, some other ways to kind of get the word out so that bicyclists are aware of that, or maybe it's just the casual bicyclist that may be using this, I don't know, but.
So the majority of what we've seen so far is people that have come to the area and then use them to circulate around. It's a faster way of walking. Or people that live in the area and just want to be able to go hub to hub to hub. We've seen a lot of cross-river traffic, which I think is really exciting, which is really what we want. It's another way to connect the two cities better.
And is there a destination map that's included with the bike itself, or?
Sure.
Okay.
It's actually on the basket outside. If you go look on it, it has all the hub locations, what you need to sign up. You can go online and sign up. It's very simple.
Okay, great.
Quick question, and I'm more like Commissioner Ralston. I drive a car a lot more than I ride a bike. So this might be a really dumb question, but are there kids' bikes involved in this? Like if somebody shows up with, their kid and they want to take a ride over to the city of Sacramento, I mean, how does that factor into this at all?
So there are some age requirements for a login to do that. And that's, I think, generally built around liability concerns.
Okay.
So there's really they're not designed really for kids to use. That being said, they have a pretty drastic range of size of person that can fit on the bike. The seats go up and down very easily, and I rode with my friend who's 6'7", and fit on the bike as best as he could.
Okay, yeah, just curious, thank you.
I have one question, too.
course.
So if I were to get a bike in Sacramento and I rode over here, could I check the bike in here and be done, or?
Yes, they're designed really to go from hub to hub. You can park it and lock it up off hub in the service area, and there is a $2 charge for that. But if you are the one that takes it from the off hub back to a hub, there's a $1.50 credit. So it's designed to disincentivize you from going off hub unless it's really convenient for you, and then incentivize people to bring it back to the hub so they do less physical rebalancing. So we contracted with Social Bicycles as the operator of this company, and they've actually taken up, they're utilizing the garage at 5th and C as their local location. So They fix the bikes there, and they run around in a van and redistribute the bikes when they get out of sync.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for staff? Okay, I guess that's it. We'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.